Here I am stuck in traffic again. It's Monday evening. It's about 5:45 in the evening, and I am driving myself to my third acting class. And in the middle of all this traffic, every time I stop at traffic lights, I have got my lines here for my next acting part that I'm madly trying to learn. Let's see if I know them. No, stuck. Put on the spot and I can't remember a thing. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Living an Unlived Life. This is the 10th video in my Mindset Reset Challenge series, which came about when, in late 2024, I decided to radically change my life by making not one, but a massive 52 New Year's resolutions. If this is the first time you've watched one of my videos, you can find the introduction to this series here. In this activity, I challenged myself to take acting classes. Ever since high school, when I had a small part in the play West Side Story, I'd always wanted to be an actress. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I watched the progress of Meryl Streep's career with total envy, and over the last decade, I frequently thought that I could have been another Maggie Smith or Judi Dench, forging my way through great British drama. So I enrolled in an acting school for a 10-week term, with classes held one evening a week for 2 hours. But unfortunately, while I loved the lessons, I felt the need to stop going after just 3 classes. Stay with me to hear about the drama that unfolded, although I should say at the outset that because of what happened, the school itself and the people involved must remain anonymous. The need for human beings to act in unnatural ways is deep in our blood. Indeed, pretending to be someone other than who we are is a basic human instinct. We fake it until we make it. We pretend we are tired when we don't want to do something, and we put on a brave face when we are scared or worried. However, as I discovered when I took acting lessons, there's a big difference between behaving in a different way on an ad hoc basis just because you feel like it, and taking on a completely different persona for an extended period of time, which is what is required in the job of being an actor. Each of the 3 acting classes that I attended started in the same way, with a group standing in a circle and expressing a series of vocalizations to act out different emotions or different accents, such as Irish or American. The group comprised about 25 people, almost all of whom appeared to be in their late teens. I got the impression that they'd all been with the school for at least several years, and the confidence and maturity they'd gained from attending acting classes was clearly evident. At age 71, I felt a little old, but I also felt welcomed and accepted. Following the vocalization exercises, we were divided into some 8 groups of 2 or 3 people and given a short dramatic piece to work on, with each group having something different. I was allocated to work with 2 very personable, confident and helpful young ladies. The piece we were given had been taken from something that they both knew well, but I had never heard of, which was understandable given that I haven't watched television for over 35 years. We first spent about 15 minutes doing a blank reading, which is reading lines aloud with no emotional expression and devoid of any personal inflection or character interpretation. We then spent another 15 minutes discussing the scene and putting our own interpretation into both the setting and our individual characters. I was to play a 50-something grumpy married man, and the other 2 actors were my wife and daughter. We then spent the rest of the class time rehearsing the scene together. I'm on my way to my second acting class. Second out of 10, 2-hour class from 6 to 8. It is the 10th, I think, the 10th of February 2025. Let's see if I remember my lines. So we go, Lydia, Lydia. Oh, hey. Did she say where she was going? Honey, listen. What? You saw the autopsy report? No, of course not. So I think I've got them. There's 7 lines. First line is when I come in on my own. And then, what's the name? See, this is what I'm learning. My lines. And then Emily comes in. In the week between the first and the second classes, I tried to learn my lines. They weren't particularly complicated, and I don't have any cognitive impairment, but I did find it difficult to remember them, especially because I not only had to remember my lines, but because I also had to remember what was said before my lines as well, so I knew when to speak. Having 3 people in the group made it much harder than it would have been with only 2 people speaking turn and turn about. I quickly discovered the importance of learning my lines as soon as possible because I found it difficult to put any feeling into my role or any movement into my body language if I had to keep stopping to read my lines. I also quickly discovered that acting was much harder than I thought it would be. I'm a naturally gregarious person and very confident, but I soon found that there's a big difference between, on the one hand, wanting attention and, on the other hand, knowing everyone is watching you perform the role of another person. Plus, I also learnt that just because someone is confident and gregarious doesn't necessarily mean that they will be good at acting. Conversely, because quiet, shy people are often better observers of human behaviour, they can sometimes be better actors than gregarious people. The second half of the second lesson was spent with each group performing in front of a camera, followed by feedback on each group's performance by the school director. At the end of the second lesson, we swapped scripts with a different group, and I spent a lot of the next week learning my lines. Oh my God! I can't believe he cheated on. I can't believe he lied to me. Oh my God! I can't believe he lied to me. I just can't believe he lied to me. I thought he was my soul. I thought he was my soulmate. As I found out later, the cameo camera performances were posted on the group's Facebook chat page, and after a vocalisation warm-up, the third lesson started with the school director asking the students what they thought of their own performance. Those who responded mostly saw areas for personal improvement. When I watched my group's performance later that evening, I was pleased with my acting, especially as I'd never done any acting in my adult life. Here's my performance, necessarily edited to remove the images and voices of the other 2 people. Hey, Lydia. Oh, hey. Hey, you know where she went to? Lydia, listen, Lydia, listen. You got the autopsy report? What? Oh, no, of course not. Later that evening, I received a text message from the school's director stating that I wasn't allowed to film any of the class anymore, which I had been doing with a GoPro and Pocket 3 to catch glimpses of my own performance as proof that I had completed my acting challenge. While the director had unconditionally approved my request to film the classes before I enrolled, it turned out that several of the students had said that they were uncomfortable with my filming, and I realised that the director's decision had been made without the consent of the students. Because I didn't want any of the students feeling uncomfortable at all in my presence, even if I didn't film, I immediately decided to withdraw from the classes and sent the director the following message. His response was gratifying, and while I ended this challenge very prematurely and definitely with a degree of sadness and disappointment, I did so with the firm knowledge that I had both the enthusiasm and aptitude to have once become a serious actor. The acting school course cost $550 for a term of 10 two-hour classes, of which I participated in 3. Given that I was left with next to zero footage for this challenge, I paid the owner of a local fancy dress shop $50 to allow me to film myself while dressed in some of the shop's many hundreds of wonderful costumes. Join me for my next episode, where I explore the world of sculptures in my hometown city of Canberra and discover what I think is the best sculpture in the world. For more information about living your own unlived life, if you go to my website, you can download a copy of my free book, Living Your Unlived Life, Finding Contentment by Honouring Your Dreams. And if it's your thing, you could like this video and subscribe to my channel.